Hi and welcome to another edition of OnsideSA, where we're talking about the Champions League, Europa League. We're talking about the South African leagues that have started again, and it's all getting pretty interesting. We were talking to Stevie B, our international pundit. He's overseas, but Budge, you set up much yesterday.
Yeah, Paul, you could see if they got one, they would get two in double quick time. But once they brought Mbappe on, the game changed. But in saying that, Atalanta, they did well, but Gomez was their main player. They brought him off with like half an hour to go, and then they couldn't keep the ball. It was a matter of time, Paul.
And then everyone's been saying they'd be a big team, PSG.
Yeah.
Now they're two more wins away from the title.
Yeah, well, they've got the winners of tonight's game, Atletico Madrid and RB Leipzig. Paul, I just worry about them at the back. You know, they're still dodgy in the middle of park. The guy that left Man United, Ander Herrera, absolutely nothing. Marquinhos, the other Brazilian centre-half in the midfield. But that's the way they seem to like it. But they've got a few guys coming back. Verratti comes back, the Italian midfielder, and Di Maria.
Yeah.
Now, I think Di Maria will start, but let's see what happens. Yeah,
it'll be interesting. All right, we've got some show topics to talk about. Let's see if we've got through to... the man you can't boot, shoot, or electrocute, Stevie B.
Morning, Steve.
Morning.
Morning, Steve.
All right. Steve, we'll kick off in Scotland. I see there's been one or two games cancelled. What's the latest with the COVID in Scotland?
Well, I mean, essentially, the reason why I think there's a lot of furore going on is because the players who have caused the games to be cancelled sort of broke the sort of quarantine sort of law. I mean, obviously, the Celtic player flew over to Spain without telling anybody, came back, played in the game when he was supposed to be quarantined. So, that's caused Celtic's next two games. And Aberdeen, a number of their players went to a pub that, again, which they shouldn't have, and turned out that there was a spread of COVID there. So, these players have to realise that, they've got a responsibility to their clubs and to their other players, that if they're meant to be self-isolating between games, that's what they're supposed to do. Now, the Scottish First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, has made it very clear that if this continues, they will suspend the league. So I think that the clubs have got to lay down the law to their players, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Celtic player particularly is maybe summarily dismissed, because what he did was unforgivable, really, because it's causing a lot of problems.
Yeah. Now, Steve, what's going to happen in England? Because you've got reserve team under 23. What happens, say, a Chelsea youngster goes on the town, comes back with COVID? What's going to happen? Will they make sure that all the clubs are in 14-day quarantine? How are they going to sort that out?
It's going to be very difficult. It's going to be very difficult for... they managed it. If you recall, at the beginning of when the teams were training, they were having regular tests, and a number of players at the beginning around the clubs in the Championship particularly, and the Premier League, a few players tested positive and they had to self-isolate. Now, that was for a relatively short period. They were sort of self-isolating while the season, and thankfully the seasons continue without too many disruptions. For that to sort of carry on indefinitely, it's going to be quite hard. They may have to sort of keep the squad separate. I suspect the first team squad at a big club would have to be kept totally separate from the others.
Yeah.
Because they just couldn't risk having sort of cross-contamination if under 23 player had been sort of anywhere near the first team squad. You end up with the big clubs having to lose games and lose players. So I think it's going to be very hard. And they've got an issue at the moment because a lot of the footballers are off sort of partying and holidaying over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
They all going to have to be tested when they come back, and the danger is some of them may have inadvertently sort of picked it up. So, a player coming back from a 2-week holiday could end up having to self-isolate for a further 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden the season's back with us. So it's going to be tricky, but they've got to do it.
Yeah, crikey. Steve, on to the latest signings. What's the story going on, you should know, in the UK with United and Jordan Sancho?
Well, yesterday Jordan Sancho was quoted as saying that how he's happy at Dortmund and helping to mentor some of the young players coming through. I think he's probably obliged to say that, whether he feels he wants to come to United or not. You sort of think that at the moment there seems to be a big gap between what United are valuing him at and prepared to pay and what Dortmund are. I think the danger for United is that they let this run on too long and miss out on other targets, because they've done this before. I think if Sancho really wanted to go to United, he could maybe force the issue by putting in a transfer request. But as you know, players are often loath to do that because of the implications it has if it doesn't go through. So I think this one could run. Dortmund have got the whip hand. They don't have to sell. It's not like they want to bring in other players and they've got to release the best part of sort of €100 million or something. So I think United, if they really want him, might have to pay closer to Dortmund's valuation.
Yeah, I see there was reports in Spain that United have come in for Ansu Fati.
Yeah, well, I think because they've got a bit of a war chest, they're going to be linked with a lot of players.
Yeah.
They've been also linked with Dembele as well, Ousmane Dembele, Douglas Costa, Jack Grealish possibly still. So, but I think United have got to decide. If Sancho's the number one target, if they can't get him, they're going to have to move on to another one. But the clubs all know they've got money and they want to spend. So, Fati is obviously a very exciting young talent. Still a bit unproven to a certain extent. Just played really, part of one season. So that could be a gamble for United. I think the danger as well for United is, one thing they can't afford to do is put all their transfer eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
It's all very well spending 100 million on Sancho, but that isn't necessarily where their problems are. They need to think about their defence. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. Talking defence, I see Koulibaly from Napoli is now linked with Man City.
Yeah, I think he's been one of their targets for a little while. And I read yesterday that Napoli looks as if they've got a replacement lined up. Magalhaes, who's currently at Lille. So I think that, by the sounds of it, they need to sell before they can buy him.
Yeah.
My understanding was City value Koulibaly at about 55 million, and they want 62 million. So they're not far adrift. I think if City want that to happen, it will. And then it'll be interesting because obviously they know that the back was their weakness last season when they lost Laporte and they were forced to play Stones and Otamendi. Well, if they get Koulibaly, they've got Laporte back and they've got Aki. They probably think that they've got that covered now.
Okay, on to Spurs. I see they signed a player, Højbjerg from Southampton.
Pierre-Emile.
Yeah, they went out after him straight away and did a deal to good money. I mean, obviously he was coming towards the end of his contract, so they were able to get him a good price. I think that that was a player that they wanted. He's a tough tackling midfielder. I think he'd probably fit in quite well. Be interesting to see if they bring in many signings. I'm not sure that they are this season, but they obviously want to get some business done early.
Yeah, I went through the sites, my Spurs sites, and they're looking at the loaning people. Troy Parrott, Skip, Dembele. They're all getting loaned. Might come back to you. There's a chance you could come back.
Session back to Fulham, Steve.
Session, sorry.
No. Tony Khan, the owner, the director of football, basically went on record. He wrote something. He was being interviewed a couple of days ago and made it very clear that Sessignon would not be coming back to Fulham. I think that he made a very pointed comment about that. So that isn't going to happen. Having said that, we have been linked with Oliver Skip.
Yes. Very busy.
Now, whether or not we would bring him in, whether we'd be able to give him the game time, but Scott Parker knows him, obviously coached him when he was over at Tottenham a couple of years ago. So I think if there was to be a loan of those players in Tottenham, that could well be the one that could happen. Yeah,
Rose ain't going to come back. I was just going through, we're looking at two defenders. Was it Hoyt or whatever his name, Argentinian's going.
Yeah.
The big Frenchman in the middle, what's his name?
Sissoko.
Sissoko, I believe, is going to go.
I think Mourinho obviously wants to fashion his own team.
Yeah.
And some of the players were there before he came. So they might need to loan a few out, maybe sell one or two to raise funds to buy. So.
We need two defenders very badly because Vertonghen's gone, form's gone. We need left back. Davies not good enough. Aurier shouldn't be playing football. So.
Well, I think again Aurier's been linked to leave, so I suspect they'll need to sort of move a few out before they can bring in.
Yeah.
I think there will be activity at Tottenham. I don't think the net spend will be that high, but I think there'll be activity.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Steve, on to the Champions League last night. Atalanta, unlucky. PSG scored too late.
Yeah, I think, listen, I mean, obviously going into the 90th minute and they're 1-0 up, Atalanta, hanging on as they were, probably thought they might have just done enough. The game changed when Mbappe came on. I mean, he's just, just changed the game. Neymar tried to take them on single-handedly, but once Mbappe came on, I think the Atalanta defence were really being stretched. And actually, once that goal went in, I felt that I thought it was going to go to extra time, but there was only going to be one winner, and in fact, it didn't go to extra time. They got the second straight away. But I mean, they tried. I mean, if you look, if you look down the Atalanta team, most people couldn't name hardly any of them. I mean, they got very few stars there. Somebody I read this morning, they said that Neymar earns as much as the entire Atalanta first team put together, which sort of sums it up. But look, this is PSG's year. If they're in the right half of the draw for them to try and get through to the final. I just thought at times they defensively, they to me they look suspect, and against a much better team, I think who'd be found out. But look, I think Thomas Tuchel was sitting there probably going into the 90th minute thinking, wonder where my next job's going to be, because I can't believe that he wouldn't have got fired if they'd lost this one. So. Well, they live to fight another day. But say next time round, obviously if Mbappe is fit and they've got Angel Di Maria back, then obviously I think they definitely got a good opportunity of getting through to the final.
All right, Steve. On to the Champions League. There's a game tonight. RB Leipzig against Atletico. How do you see that going?
Yeah, I think I'd be surprised. To my mind, Atletico, I think, are the stronger teams. Leipzig have had a really good season, but they faltered a little bit towards the end. I just think Madrid have been there, done it before. I think they know how to sort of get through these games. But as we know, it's a one-off game. Anything could happen. I'm hopefully it's a good game. Yeah. I just fancy Madrid.
Yeah, so do I. I see Timo Werner. He's not playing. He's at Chelsea.
Yeah, Timo Werner's already signed for Chelsea. That's gone through.
You think that's right? If you were an RB Leipzig supporter, I wouldn't be happy with that. Or do you think they took the money in preference to the Champions League?
Yeah, bearing in mind the Bundesliga is obviously starting sooner, I think, and Chelsea came in very early. I mean, that deal was done, so the minute that officially they could sign him, they did. So I think it was that they sort of agreed that he was going to go. His heart, I don't think he would have risked wanting to play and get injured, so I think there was no question. And the same now with Bayer Leverkusen. Now they're knocked out of the Europa.
Havertz,
I suspect they'll sell Havertz to Chelsea if they can agree the fee.
All right. Now, talking about German football, the biggest team there, Bayern Munich, they play Barcelona. Any chance Messi and co can cause an upset?
Look, of course they can, as we say on the day, but having watched sort of Munich, they just are a very, very strong team this season. They seem to have that sort of blend of youth and experience, and I think that. So that's going to be a good game. I mean, obviously it's the tie of the round, I guess, of the big teams. Yeah. And they're the only teams left in the competition who've won it.
Yeah.
Out of the 8, so I think Munich will go through, and then obviously all things being equal, will face City.
Yeah, I think if Messi wasn't in the team, I think Bayern Munich would be 1-4, because Barcelona bar Messi are woeful. And I should say Ter Stegen as well. He's a class keeper. Steve, the last 27 games Bayern Munich have played, how many do you think they've won?
24.
Probably about 25 or 26.
26. The only team that they drew at home with RB Leipzig at 0-0. Yeah. Remember watching the game. Timo Werner. Now, the team you fancy, Steve?
They've been exceptional.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched pretty much every one of their Bundesliga games, and I was very impressed with them. Yeah.
Now, another team that expect to get through is Man City. Can you see Lyon causing another upset?
Well, I think they shocked Juventus. I mean, no one expected that over the two legs, particularly. Obviously, taking that 1-0 lead. We said last week if they scored a goal, which they did, and as much as hard as Ronaldo tried, he couldn't really do it on his own. But Juventus had gone off the boil. I don't know what it was. Just really, once they'd won the league, it's like they sort of shut up shop a little bit, and so I mean, obviously it cost Sarri his job, whether he was going to go anyway. But so look, I think Lyon won't be easy for City, but you just expect City with the squad they've got to be too strong.
All right, Steve. On to the Europa League. It's a semi-final stage now. Man United playing Seville. How do you see that going?
Well, look, I'd love United to go through. I think that obviously there's no question you do, but I'm sitting. I love when they're on song and going forward. I think they're great. Their defence worries me though. I mean, the way that Copenhagen sort of cut through them a number of times and could have scored, and that's, to me, is the danger, because Seville are a strong team.
Yeah.
Seville have conceded only 1 goal in their last 8 games.
Jeez, that's good, eh?
They've got a very strong defence. I mean, Wolves started well against them, but to my mind, the second half, it was all Seville, really, and it was just a matter of time when they might score. I'd love, my heart wants United to win, but my head said this is going to be a very, very tight game.
Yeah. Who do you think is going to go through, though?
I'm sorry to say, I think Seville might. I just think this is their competition. They want it more than any other club.
Yeah.
They've got a good manager. They've just got a very, very strong team, and I think United are going to have to defend better than they have done in recent matches. And they've got to take their chances. I mean, against Copenhagen, the chances they missed, I know the woodwork say, but they've got to be clinical, because they won't get anywhere near that many chances. So I think for United to win, they've got, when the chance comes, they've got to take it, and then they've got to defend for their lives. But I just think that the way that, having watched the games, for me, Seville, although the odds don't show that, but I think Seville are slight favourites.
Yeah, I hate to say it, Steve, but I agree with you. I've watched United lately. Our 2 fullbacks, Wan-Bissaka can't cross the street, let alone cross the ball. And Williams is a good young player, but he can't use his left foot. All these hotshot kids coming out the academy, it's on his left, a great move, he cuts back on his right foot. I think United are under severe pressure here. We give the ball away too much. Seville really look a good team, and I actually backed them to win the competition, Seville. I took 5-1. I think they'll go through.
You can get 2-1 just
2-1 outright. That's my value bet of the weekend. I just can't have United.
Actually, funny bunch, because you're going to ask me that later. Seville are my value bet 6-1. I just thought. I saw that. I thought, as a neutral, you think, well, that's a good price.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, Steve, you can only back what you see, and what I've seen from United lately isn't worth backing. The other game, I don't know. It does look a slam dunk, but Shakhtar aren't the worst of teams.
Not at all. They won their game. I know they're probably against the weakest team, but they won very comfortably.
Yeah.
I think this will be a close game. And again, Shakhtar have got a good record in this competition. The final we want to see is United-Inter.
Yeah, that's the games.
You've got Lukaku and against
Ashley Young
Ashley Young. Obviously not Sanchez, as he's on loan, but So that's. I think Inter will go through. I think but you say you can't write off Shakhtar because they're there on merit.
Yeah.
Right,
okay, so you're going Seville Inter final. Steve, what's your best bit of the weekend?
I'm going to go for Hibernian. I think that they play. I tipped them last week away, and they won comfortably, and they're sitting joint top of the table with Rangers. And I think when you look at it's very interesting. Sort of Rangers win again, let's say on the weekend, they could find themselves 8 points clear of Celtic, even though Celtic will have a couple of games in hand.
Yeah.
So because they're missing, they're going to lose 2 games. So they have a bit of catch up to do to some of these teams, but. So the league table's a bit, but I think Hibernian will be too strong. Yeah,
I watched them a little bit against Dundee United. Dundee United aren't the worst of teams. It was a bit of a tight game, but I like what I see. My old man's team Hibs, so he'll be chirping top of the league. That Steve, thank you very much.
Steve, thanks very much, pal.
Good luck.
Go watch don't forget the cricket today.
Yeah, looking forward to that. So, that was to be fair, there was no way they should have won that game. Going in, 5 down with 100 and something still needed. That Joss Butler came up trumps and Chris Wokes, but they can't rely on that again. They've got to, the top order's got to start scoring.
Yeah, totally agree.
All right, Stevie, thanks very much, pal.
All the best, Steve.
Talk soon.
Bye.
But let's talk PSL.
Yep.
Tuesday, there was Sundowns Pirates.
Paul, was it Dobsonville where Morocco Swallows play?
The dry ground.
Dry ground, Paul. The half felt in winter.
Yeah.
I was chatting to several guys. You guys in the old days. I said, guys, we played in the winter. You go to the half felt. Go to Witbank, Benoni, and those grounds in the half felt. Yeah. Paul, it's not level. No. And you saw it. And Sundowns were a good footballing team, Paul. Good game. Pirates had the better chances. Yeah. I think a draw, fair result.
I like
Sundowns, Paul. Good team.
And then Chiefs and Bidvest last
Paul,
night.
they butchered it, but they had a few guys go down. Billiat came off. Sorry, not Billiat. I think it was Billiat came off with a hamstring. Nurkovic came off. You know, the Chiefs had a great chance, hit the crossbar 1-0, and then, you know, Gavin's team, a lot of youngsters, came back and equalised. 1-1. He thought they should have won, Gavin, listening to him afterwards. I disagree, but it was a good point for them.
Okay, let's look at the standings, Bud.
Yeah.
Kaiser Chiefs top. They played 23 matches, so they've played, and they've got 49 points.
Yeah. They're 4 points ahead. Sundown's got a game in hand.
But then it's a drop to Pirates and 41, 40 for Supersport and Bidvest, who've got 2 games on hand and 1 game in hand.
Yeah.
Can go up to 42.
Yeah, it's between Chiefs and Sundowns.
Sundowns, yeah. Chiefs haven't won it for a long time, eh?
Nah, Paul, they're not in the best of form, Chiefs.
Yeah.
But pressure's going to come on, especially without any supporters.
Let's look at the fixtures this week, Bud. Tell me what you think of these games.
Well, it kicks off on Friday. You know, Chipper, Cape Town. Remember, both teams on from Joburg. So I think the first week, Paul, the draw's a big player in all of these games.
Yeah.
You know, I like Cape Town City of the 2 teams, but, you know, the betting, you know, for me, Paul, I think it's under 2.5 goals. And if I had to have a bet, I'd back the draw. Friday afternoon, yeah.
Then Friday night?
Friday night, Highlands, Sundowns. I like Sundowns, Paul, but Highlands always give them a hard game.
Do they, eh?
Yeah. 7-10, but likewise, Paul, hard game. 7-10, it's not in my play, but I do like Sundowns of the 2 teams.
Amazulu?
Well, the last time Amazulu played, they beat Chiefs 1-0 in Joburg. You know, I mean, he's taken over. Barocca were woeful last week. They got beat 3-0 in the Nedbank Cup semi-final by Bloem Celtic. Yeah, but this is a pressurised game, Paul. Both teams in a relegation battle.
Yeah.
And I think I wouldn't be taking 12-10 on Mazulu. I think more the draw there, Paul.
Yeah.
22-10.
Stellenbosch?
Well, I like Arrows of the 2 teams. You know, Stellenbosch, that's Steve Barker's team. He's got them right. They'd improved before the break. But I like Arrows, Paul. I don't see Arrows getting beat.
18-10.
18-10 Arrows for me there, Paul.
Okay, let's go on to the next game.
Paul, you know, it should be Chiefs. Polokwane have played 9 games away from home, lost all 9.
They're at home now.
Yeah, but no, that's a neutral ground. I think they're playing at Orlando Stadium.
Why is it neutral?
Well, because they're playing in a bubble. So Polokwane are from Nelspruit, so they've got to travel to Gauteng. It should be Chiefs, Paul, 4-10.
Are these behind closed doors?
Yeah. And you can hear 1 or 2 of the security guards and the ball boys screaming and shouting and the coaches going berserk. You can hear everything, Paul. It should be 4-10 is too short, Paul, especially for a PSL game, but it should be Chiefs all day.
That's Saturday at 3:30, and then Saturday evening?
Paul, I like Pirates. I think 11-10 is a good price. I was going to make them my bet of the day, but I watched Gavin's team last night. He's introducing a lot of youngsters, Paul.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've been taken over, so players are looking at least. Some of his players aren't even playing.
Yeah.
They've been sold, but I think there'll be plenty of goals in that, Paul. I hummed and hard which way, but I think 11-10 Pirates, good thing.
Okay, Black Leopards against Maritzburg.
You know, Black Leopards, you know, I think the last 8 away games, they've lost all 8. Maritzburg are going well, but away from home, Paul, this won't be easy for them. We have 5-10 against a desperate Black Leopards team with 3 points at the bottom of the league. They need 3 points to catch Amazulu. I wouldn't be taking 5-10, even though they should win.
Supersport then against Bloem.
I like Supersport, Paul. This game's at Mill Park or Bidvest Stadium. Every time they've played Wits, they've won the last 3. You know, Bloem Celtic played well last week and beating Barocca, but I fancy Supersport, Paul.
Okay, let's go and have a look at the Soccer Sixes.
Yeah, it kicks off obviously we do the Saturday perms. The PSL one with a Scottish game in between. I've gone Amazulu win and draw against Barocca. I've sided with Golden Arrows to avoid defeat against Stellenbosch. I think Hamilton Academical won't get beat against St Mirren, and I don't see Kilmarnock on their plastic pitch losing to St Johnstone. Genk should be good things, but I've added the draw in against OH Leuven, and I've banked CSKA Moscow.
Quite a tough one, eh, Bud?
Yeah, a tough one, Paul.
Tough one, eh? Okay, let's look at the next one.
On to the second one. I've thrown the draw looking for an upset with Chiefs. So I've won Chiefs in the draw against Polokwane, purely because the Celtic Aberdeen game has been postponed because of COVID. They're not playing that game. I've gone the field in the Ross County, Dundee United. Likewise, looking for an upset in the Orlando Pirates Bidvest Wits clash. I bank it Hibs to beat Motherwell. And I think Man City will beat Lyon, Paul, 108.
Olympic Lyonnais.
Olympic Lyonnais. The kids, let's go Nays. That's their nickname.
The kids, let's go Nays. Okay, let's go Nays to the next page.
On the Soccer 10, Paul, I've gone Amazulu win and draw against Barocca. I've gone Golden Arrows win and draw against Stellenbosch. I've banked it Kaiser Chiefs to beat Polokwane. Celtic to beat Aberdeen. You can use any selection there. I've gone Hamilton Academicals, win and draw at home against St Mirren. I've gone Kilmarnock, win and draw at home against St Johnstone. I've gone Ross County, the field, against Dundee United, as well as Orlando Pirates against Bidvest, the field, ending up with 2 bankers. Hibernian to beat Motherwell and Man City to beat Olympique Lyonnais, 288.
Right, Budge, the impossible dream.
The tough 13, there's plenty of odds and sod curveballs here. I've banked Man City to beat Olympique Lyonnais. I've sided with Holstad not to get beat at Dalkurd. I've banked GIF Sundsvall to beat Gaze Gothenburg. I've gone RK Brage, win and draw at Osters. I've gone with Mulder, win and draw at Sarpsborg. I've gone Hamilton, win and draw at home against St Mirren. I've banked Kilmarnock to beat St Johnstone.
They got the plastic pitch, you say?
Yeah, I watched them against Celtic last week. Terrible pitch. I've gone Ross County, win and draw at home against Dundee United. I've banked Hibernian to beat Motherwell. I've gone ARK Stockholm, win and draw at Falkenbergs. I've gone Hammarby, win and draw at home against second place Elfsborg. I've banked leaders Malmo to beat Njalbi. Ended up with Vasteris to beat Umia, 280.
Umia. Okay, Budge, the best times, the best bets. Can you give me your
a little bit
stories?
limited as far as what's been played,
Doesn't matter,
Paul, but
try and catch him.
Paul, I think Bayern Munich will beat Barcelona, and I've gone both teams to score. Likewise, Man City, I think they'll beat Lyon, but I think Lyon will score. That Man City back four is woeful. And I've gone Sevilla, win and draw against Man United.
I think that's a winning bet, Budge.
2-3 to 200, Paul.
That's a winning bet. Then
A PSL bet, I've gone Orlando Pirates to beat Bidvest and both teams to score. Gavin's team don't give in. I've gone Golden Arrows, win or draw against Stellenbosch. And I fancy Supersport to beat Bloem Celtic, 2,100 to 200. PSL goals fiver, Paul, obviously looking for bets. I'm going under 2.5 goals in the Amazulu Baraka, Black Leopards Maritzburg, Chipper Cape Town City, and Stellenbosch Golden Arrows. And I think there's goals are plenty in the Orlando Pirates Bidvest, Paul.
Okay.
Worked out 11-1, 2,200.
Yeah. Tough bet.
Very difficult bet, but we've got to have a dip. Teams only. I like this bet, Paul. I'm going Bayern Munich, Hibernian and Mamelodi Sundowns, all to score over 1.5 goals. So they've got to score a minimum of 2.
Got to.
And I'm going Lyonnais, Olympique Lyon to score against Man City. 13.5 to 1, 2,700 to 200.
The Scottish treble.
The Scottish treble, I've gone Kilmarnock to win on their plastic pitch at home against St Johnstone. I've gone Hibernian to beat Motherwell and over 1.5 total goals. And I've gone Alfredo Morelos of Rangers, the mad Colombian, to score against Livingston on Sunday, 2,100 to 200.
What happens if he doesn't start?
No, as long as he doesn't come on. If he comes on, he's part, but he'll start.
So I'll ask a question. Say Kilmarnock win and Hibs win and they're over to 1.5, everything's in order, and Alfredo Morales doesn't come on. Your bet gets trimmed. It's a double. It's a double. Okay, got you.
Gerard's no fool. He's his best player.
Yeah.
He's going to play.
And your 6 on Exeter?
Collis King 6 on Exeter. I've gone Hibs to beat Motherwell. I've gone Supersport United to beat Bloem Celtic. I fancy Bayern Munich to beat Barcelona. I think Inter Milan will beat Shakhtar Donetsk. I'm going Malmo to win at Njalbi and Rosenborg to beat Olesund, 4,300 to 200.
There we go, Budge. It looks very, very good. So interesting times. The Champions League's really getting tough now.
Well, I wonder what they're going to do next season, because I think this has been a success, this knockout stage. When you've got the quarterfinalists, one-off game, extra time penalties.
Whose ground would get the...
well, I think...
You want supporters, you want your spectators.
Well, that's the only problem.
You're one of the teams are going to say, hey, I want my supporters there.
Yeah. Well, imagine if it was at Wembley or
unless you do 50-50.
Yeah.
You say you can have 50, like a World Cup match.
Yeah.
You can have 50% of the stadium, you can have 50% of the stadium. Bring your supporters. If you don't fill it, bad luck.
Yeah.
And then make it one of the two's grounds.
Yeah, well, Paul, could you imagine if they had it in London? They could use Tottenham, because they're not in the Champions League, and they could use Wembley or use Arsenal.
Yeah.
In Europa League, they've got so many grounds in England, but it's the control of, obviously, the virus and the supporters. But I think it's been brilliant, Paul.
Yeah, I like the one-off.
Yeah. It gives the smaller teams a chance.
Yeah.
If you're a big team, you prefer the 2 legs.
Every time.
But for the neutral, I think it's been great.
Okay, well, that's the story. That's the latest. Until next time, stay on side.